All right, today we are going to tackle a huge challenge in modern tech. How do you get a single, clear view of everything when your applications are running all over the place, across multiple clouds? It's all about going from chaos to clarity. So let's just dive right in. Really think about it for a second. Your services, they could be on Amazon, Google, and Microsoft's clouds, all at the same time. But what happens when something breaks? Can you instantly see the whole picture? That's the big question we're going to answer today. Okay, so to even start answering that, we first have to get a handle on the environment we're dealing with. And folks, welcome to the multi-cloud maze. It's this incredibly complex, super powerful, and, let's be honest, often really confusing world of scattered services. You know what? Let's use an analogy to make this a whole lot easier to grasp. Just imagine that each cloud provider, your AWS, your Azure, your Google Cloud, is a massive international airport. And your applications, all those little microservices, well, they're the airplanes, constantly flying between them. And boom, right there, that gets us to the absolute heart of the problem. See, each airport has its own fantastic air traffic control tower. But here's the kicker. They don't really talk to each other. So there's no central system, no master control that can track a plane's entire journey from, say, London to Tokyo. It's just organized chaos. And that's exactly what multi-cloud feels like a lot of the time. So if we're going to solve this, we first need to understand the different pieces of the puzzle. Let's break down the key players in our system. Okay, first up, what is multi-cloud really? Well, it's pretty simple. It's just the practice of using services from a bunch of different cloud providers, our airports, right? Like AWS, Azure, and Google. It's a super powerful way to build things, for sure, but it's also exactly where all this complexity comes from. All right, next up is something called a service mesh. Now, stick with our analogy here. Think of a service mesh like a massive, mandatory tech upgrade for every single airport and every single airplane. It's like this super sophisticated radar and radio system that tracks exactly how all our little application airplanes are talking to each other. And that brings us to this key idea of observability. So if the service mesh is the fancy radar system, what's observability? Well, it's the actual data you get from that system. It's all the raw info, things like flight speed, altitude, error rates, and exactly where all the traffic is flowing. Okay, so let's tie that all together. On one hand, you've got your cloud platforms. Those are your airports, like EKS, AKS, and GKE. Then, to actually see what's happening across all of them, you install a service mesh. That's your radar system, something like Istio or Linkerd. That's the basic setup we're working with. But what happens if you have all these pieces, but you don't actually connect them? Well, without that unified view, you're basically flying blind. And that's incredibly dangerous. Let's dig into what that really looks like. Wow, okay, this slide just perfectly illustrates the difference. Over on the left, that's the old siloed view. You're asking these little isolated questions, right? Hey, is EKS slow? Did AKS throw an error? You're just stuck in one lonely control tower. But look at the right. With a unified view, you get real powerful answers. You see the latency between the clouds. You see the global error rate for the whole system. You know exactly where the traffic is flowing. It is literally the difference between guessing and knowing. And believe me, the consequences of flying blind are very, very real. Troubleshooting, it becomes a total nightmare. It's just finger pointing between different teams, and it can take hours, sometimes even days, to fix a simple problem. You can't find the real bottlenecks. And what's the end result? A slower, less reliable app and, you guessed it, really unhappy users. All right, enough doom and gloom. So how do we actually fix this? Let's talk about the solution. It's time to build that central, all-seeing air traffic control tower we've been talking about. And the game plan is actually pretty straightforward when you break it down. It's just 4 steps. Step 1, you install your service mesh, that radar system, across all your clouds. Step 2, you configure those meshes to send all their juicy performance data out. Step 3, you grab all that data and pull it together, or aggregate it into one central system. And finally, step 4, use a tool like Grafana to build that master dashboard. That's your big, beautiful control tower view. And what do you get after all that? This. This is the payoff. One single unified dashboard. One place to see every flight, every single connection, every error, across your entire multi-cloud world. This right here, this is the single source of truth that your teams have been dreaming of. So what does this all really mean in the real world? What do we get for all this effort?
Let's talk about the payoff, the actual tangible benefits of finally moving from that chaos to some real clarity.
Honestly, the benefits are just massive. We're talking about slashing troubleshooting time from hours or even days down to minutes. That means less downtime, which directly protects your revenue. You get this crystal clear view of performance. You can manage your traffic way smarter to save money and get faster. What's the bottom line? A faster, more reliable application and that all-important single source of truth that finally gets every team speaking the same language. That's how you build trust with your users.
And that brings us to one final thought to leave you with. As our digital world gets more and more complex, more distributed, you have to wonder, right? Is this kind of unification, bringing everything into one clear picture, is it just a nice to have, or is it maybe the only real path forward? Something to think about. Thanks so much for watching.